Welcome to this edition of American Shooter. I'm Jim Scoutten, and for some years now, we've covered practical pistol competition with open-class race guns. But there is another form of practical shooting that also uses race guns, but uses more of them. It's three-gun competition, this time in the desert of Arizona, where it's run and gun with pistol, rifle, and shotgun. Just outside Phoenix, Arizona, the Rio Salado Sportsman's Club sits in the foothills of the Supersition Mountains, where the natural terrain forms many of the event's stages. The gullies, washes, and small desert valleys are challenging for shooters in this run-and-gun event. But in three-gun competition, the biggest challenge may be figuring out which gun to shoot and when.
We've got 3 or 4 multiple gun stages at these matches where they're having to fire their handgun till it goes dry or till they finish the handgun targets, then run into the shotgun or hit the rifle, and they have to pick up 3 guns and they solve the scenarios.
On the multiple gun stages, they become very complex. We've got the one where we had the opportunity to shoot all 3 guns, but we chose to only shoot 2 of the guns because it would be faster in the end of it. So we took the 2 guns that had the most bullets in them, basically.
But on some stages, pistols and rifles aren't an option. So other skills come into play, like on the 19-round shotgun-only stage called the Junkyard Assault.
This is more of a loading game. The shotguns hold very little ammunition, and everything is close quarters. You have to present the gun around barricades, through ports, and most of the time it's just strictly hand and eye coordination, keeping the guns hot.
The targets for this multi-gun match are the same as for IPSC pistol competition, but the scoring is different.
They have A zone, Bravo zone, Charlie zone, and Delta zones. The targets are scored. Any hit in an A zone is total target engagement and counts as a hit. Any other place on the target requires 2 hits on the target to equal an A zone hit.
1 Delta.
If a target has only 1 hit outside of the A zone, 3 seconds are added to the shooter's time. 6 seconds are added for a miss, and the shooter with the best time wins the stage. But unlike USPSA matches, where the faster your time, the more points you earn, here points are awarded by how a shooter places in each stage. The shooter with the highest finishing average on all the stages wins.
It does change your approach. You need to be consistent and stay towards the top, whereas winning the stage and going all out really doesn't gain you anything. You can lose real easily, but you can't gain much here.
This competition is not just for the pros. Over the 3 days, more than 200 shooters will face the challenge of pistol, rifle, and shotgun targets on these stages and over some rugged terrain. Lynn Rubel's past experience in local IPSC matches and in shooting trap have come together for her to make three-gun a fun hobby.
I compete more against myself than I do other people. And so if I improve either time, score, or whatever level as I progress from match to match, that's my reward.
Chuck Kerber is a neurosurgeon at the University of California. But he finds three-gun matches to be good mental exercise on the weekends for his weekday work as a brain surgeon. It's the same process, he says, of being alert, even though the tools are quite different.
In my job, I work in people's brains when they're awake, and it is, there is a need to think quickly, and there's a certain amount of time pressure, and it's very similar with this.
Matt Milkovich also knows a lot about hospitals. The 14-year-old faces the challenge of cerebral palsy every day of his life. But out on the ranges, Matt has little problem tackling the stages the pros are competing on with his dad, Tim, as coach.
I'll form my own idea on how to go through it and then ask him for advice, you know, on how would I do this and how would I do that. If I don't like the way he says to do it, then maybe I'll change it a bit. But usually when he says to do it, it kind of gives me more of the better advantage.
Nearly all the competitors are using some of the most modern and accurate semi-auto rifles on the market today. But in the racks, one true legend is still proving its worth. David Gibson's M1 Garand got called into duty when the accuracy of his high-tech rifle wasn't good enough to compete. David is forced to hang the Garand clips from his back pocket and has to reload after just 8 shots, but at least he can now hit his mark.
It's a sweetheart. It's a piece of art. The black guns are workhorses. They're great guns, but this thing is a 57 Chevy. It's a classic, and it's just fun to shoot.
Fun to shoot is exactly what this competition is all about. A game that takes the multiple disciplines of the shooting sports and mixes in a taste of combat to create one big challenge. But for the all-around shooters playing this game, there's nothing quite like the competition of a 3-gun match. How's that for action? And there's more ahead because we don't yet have a winner in the Dillon 3-gun match. But we'll get one next. Three guns with challenges to match. Rifle shots out to more than 100 yards, shotgun targets, and pistol. And a match title at stake. That makes for some pretty hot action among the shooters who are the best at this game. First, there's the Dry Gulch Run. When it rains, this is a winding, twisting wash for runoff from the Supersition Mountains. But this is the desert, and dry weather has turned it into a challenging stage with 19 paper targets placed along more than 200 feet. Next, there's the stage that started shooters in a helicopter gunship, engaging targets in the valley far below. Then, after retrieving their own rifle, competitors had more targets on their way to the bunker, where poppers and paper targets were set 250 yards out in the brush.
Hit! Hit! Bye!
But perhaps the most challenging stage of the match was in the wash. It required shooters to use a platform for the first array of targets, then make a gun change before running down the side of the ravine to deal with targets hiding in the wash itself. Coming into this stage, the lead for the match had swapped back and forth between two former 3-gun event champions, Michael Voigt and Jerry Miculek. Jerry held a slight lead going in, but he would have to finish higher than Mike to assure his victory. The shooting order had Mike Voigt going first. He took a surprising and interesting approach to the stage. Mike had unexpectedly shot most of the targets from the platform with his pistol, a gamble to improve his time on the stage. With that score, Michael Voigt put Jerry in second place and was forcing him to pull out all the stops to win.
Gotta love finding bullet holes.
But Jerry had a surprise of his own. On the platform, Jerry chose to shoot his rifle, and his speed paid off. Jerry edged out Michael Voigt by just a few seconds to take home the Mystery Mountain 3-gun title.
I was betting on my ability to hit the rifle targets offhand, and I'd get 50% of them in a given time. Mike was betting that he could do his handgun faster and save on the reload on the rifle going down the hill. It's always useful to shoot on the bottom of the pack. You get to watch, you get to learn.
Congratulations to Jerry Miculek. And all this time we were thinking Jerry was just a revolver expert? No way. Well, coming up, a close look at the trick guns the top shooters use. And then Benelli's favorite over and under in gun tech. Now, let's suppose you've decided you want to find a local 3-gun match and join the fun. Well, in that case, you might want to know a bit more about the guns that will help you win. There's no difference in the open class pistols used here and the ones we've shown you at IPSC matches, but the long guns that are here are pretty unusual. Just like in drag racing, speed parts have become big business in the game of 3-gun, turning stock rifles and shotguns into race-ready machines.
These are some of the typical modifications you'll see on some of the long guns at a 3-gun match. We have the bipod, which is activated with a quick release handle. We have a dual sight arrangement with a non-magnifying electronic red dot sight with a conventional 3-to-9 telescopic mounted on top. We also have texturing for both the handle surfaces so that the gun doesn't slip. We also have a quick reload adapter here that holds a second magazine for a quick reload and an ambidextrous charging handle so that the gun can be charged with either hand. On our open class shotguns, we also have quite a few modifications. We start with the high capacity magazine tube. We want the most rounds in the gun at any one time we can have. Usually most competitors will also port the barrel for reduction of recoil. We have a 40mm electronic red dot sight to aid in sighting the gun as fast as possible. You also have the gripped textured surfaces so that the gun will hold it as securely as possible. We also have an ambidextrous bolt release here so that the gun can be charged with either hand. We have a quick load magazine release so that you can actually load the gun as quickly as possible during the sequence of the stage.
But gunsmith Jim Clark has taken some extreme measures to eliminate reloading altogether. Check out the custom-made tube magazine on his 12-gauge Remington autoloader. It makes the gun's overall length 5 feet from end to end.
Yeah, my double is a fishing rod. Holds 17 shells. They're a little quirky to get to work, and they're much tougher to shoot than a short tube because the shells pulsate in the magazine. But sometimes if it's not a reloading contest, it's a big advantage.
Pro shooter Michael Voigt certainly has access to all the trick parts, but his race car, race gun analogy yields a different approach to the match and to his gun modifications.
A lot of the guns, these are like race cars. We configure them for the track. So what I do is I end up taking off all the extras. Instead of trying to bolt everything that I own on here at once, I just put it on selectively as we need it. The rifle looks fairly much stock on the outside, but all the tricks are basically on the inside of it. This has a 2-stage trigger, which what that means is the first stage of it just is a take-up position and has a very light release on it. So it ends up shooting about a 1-pound trigger so we can get some good accuracy out of the gun. It also allows us to shoot very fast with the gun if we need to up close, so we can just pull straight through with that.
And for his very stock-appearing shotgun, its internal modifications are a bit more extreme. The entire barrel has been bored out 15 to 20 thousandths over.
And what that does is in a standard shotgun shell, you've got about 350 pellets to hit the target with. This causes less deformation of the pellets, so I actually get to use all 350 of the pellets, whereas in a stock barrel, about 50 of them get damaged going down the bore, so that guy only gets to use 300 of the pellets. So it just gives me a little bit of extra helpers down there.